How's it going? So I want to make this very quick video before I go to sleep. Like basically, when I say you don't play the game in League of Legends, you are just spinning the wheel, and this causes you to be very dissatisfied with the game even when you do win, right? And I'll explain what I mean by this, and I explain to you psychologically why that happens, right? Fundamentally, like I said before, it has a flaw. The game has a flaw. And this flaw is there are certain conditions in the game which occur. If they happen, there is no skill to which you can rise where you can control the outcome of this situation. Basically, if that situation happens, you cannot win. All right? So think about it like you are throwing a dice, right? And if the dice falls 2 6s or 3 6s, you lose no matter what, right? So in League of Legends, I already demonstrated through videos that there are conditions under which you simply lose, and there is nothing you can do about it, right? So every game that you play, you are hoping that this condition does not occur, because if it does, you lose the game. Now, why is it so frustrating and dissatisfying? Because you know that this condition exists. It doesn't matter what rank you are, climb, you can rank to rank 1, LCS, whatever, right? That condition will still be there and you know about it, right? And what's frustrating is there is no way to win in that condition. So, right, so every single time you queue up, you subconsciously hoping that this condition does not occur, right? So why do I have this countertop up is because I'll tell you this very simply, like I'll demonstrate it through one-on-one scenario, right? Realistically speaking, in a one-on-one scenario in Summoner's Rift, you cannot beat Warwick as Tryndamere, all right? It's not realistically possible. If Warwick goes correct runes and starts building armor, there is no way you can beat him. No way. So, let's say we have a matchmaking system where we play one-on-one. You know that you simply cannot beat Warwick, right? So what are you doing? You are hoping that they don't pick Warwick. This is what you're hoping for, all right? So when you win, you queue up next time, you think to yourself, God forbid they pick Warwick. Oh, thank God they didn't pick Warwick. I get to win, all right? And that is going to be there forever, all right? Now, sometimes they will pick Warwick, right? And you're going to beat Warwick. It's going to be unsatisfying. Why? Because subconsciously you know, realistically speaking, you cannot beat Warwick, right? And the only reason why you won was because that guy was an idiot, right? He either doesn't know what the hell he's doing, his runes are incorrect, he doesn't know how to control the wave, he goes he doesn't know how to manage the mana, because if that was a proper Warwick, no way in the face of this galaxy winning this game, right? And when you do win against Warwick, you realize that it's not that you're good, it's because the guy is Special Olympics, right? I already talked about that multiple times, all right? So this is what I'm saying is, in this metaphor, Warwick is the condition which causes you to lose, and realistically there is no skill level to which you can rise where you can 100% confidently say I can beat Warwick, right? Because it's impossible, all right? Likewise, I said situations in 5-on-5 games. You get counterpicked top, your team is feeding, there is no skill level to which you can rise where you can outplay this. No skill level, right? Because if you get counter picked up, you cannot go 20 kills. By default, by the game design, you cannot do it, right? That means that condition will always be there, right? No matter how many times, no matter what rank you are, you will always be sitting there and thinking to yourself, God, when today I'm getting lucky, right? But I know that tomorrow this condition could start happening. And why is it so frustrating? Because you have no control. There could be 20 queues, let's say, metaphorically speaking, where every single game you're going up against Warwick and he's good. You're simply gonna lose 20 games in a row, and that's it. In 5-on-5, it's exactly the same. You go in, you queue up, 20 games in a row you get counterpicked, and your team is full of feeders, and you simply lose, right? So that's what I'm saying. You're not really playing the game, right? You are rotating the wheel and hoping that this condition does not happen, right? Because if it does, you simply lose because there's no way to outplay it, no way to win it, right? And I think why people play and community in general in League of Legends, the general consensus is that if you're good enough, you can carry. But this is illusion. This is, I would go as far as to say that this is created by Riot as a company to keep you playing, right? Because if 100% win rate, if every scenario in League of Legends had a skill level to which you can rise and you can outplay it, right? We would see players with 95% plus win rate on their solo queue accounts. We would see Faker, who is like the greatest of all time. We would see Dopa, we would see Doublelift, we would see other players, right? With consistent 95% win rates. But what do we see when we look at their profiles? They have the same shitty win rate as I do, right? 51%, 55%, 49%, 56%, right? Because the game design is structured in such a way where there are conditions that are unplayable, right? And that's not a skill flaw, it's a game design flaw, right? Like this, I demonstrated Warwick, right? Warwick is a good metaphor for this. As a Tryndamere, you're not gonna beat Warwick, good Warwick, right? If he has correct setup, right? And if you do win, because the guy is an idiot, right? So that condition is there, and that's it, right? And there is no way you will ever, I repeat, no way ever you will find fulfillment in a game where you know that you do not control the outcome of the game, right? Because at any point, if the system decides, or if you get unlucky, right, you play 20 games against good Warwick and you're gonna lose, and that's it, right? And this tickling feeling is gonna be there forever. So I'm just saying that, by by design the game is just flawed, and that's it. It's not you, it's just the game. That's the way it is, right? And unfortunately, why it's bad, uh, it's because there is a lot of time waste, right? It's a lot of time waste. So, like, I arrived at the only realistic kind of psychologically sane way to play League of Legends is to play Nasus Aram, because Nasus Aram full game one-on-one can outplay anything, right? If you play correctly, there is nothing that he cannot beat. The only one champion that I'm thinking about, and that is Anivia, right? But I'm thinking to myself, against Anivia, you could probably go Mage Nasus, right? And you can just give her the taste of her own medicine, where you slow her and you E her, and she just dies in your circle, because that's what she does, right? She stuns you, she activates her circle, you try to chase her, she stuns you, she activates her wall, right? You can do the same shit. You can slow her and you can put the circle. She's so squishy, she's probably gonna die, right? I haven't tested it because I haven't seen a lot of Anivias. But realistically, you see in my head, like, there is a way out of it, right? There is a way out. In 5-on-5, I can name so many situations where there is simply no counterplay. And most of them revolve around your teammates, right? If your teammates are shit, that's it. That's it. Game over, right? And of course, because we're talking about Riot, we're talking about League, we're talking about money, it's gonna be rigged, right? I already demonstrated that in NBA Hangtime, right? It's an arcade game. You play and you pay to play. The computer tries to keep the score to even to keep you playing, right? So Riot is exactly the same. They will have the same building mechanisms. They will rig the system to keep you going, right? So it's a casino, right? It's just a casino, realistically speaking, right? You're not playing because enjoy the game too much and stuff like that. The game by itself is kind of boring. Try playing against bots. I mean, what is it like? You're smashing turrets and you're CSing, realistically speaking, right? But what keeps you coming back? And that's because your psychology is hijacked, right? The dopamine is hijacked. So that's what I'm saying is fundamentally, you either play one-on-one or just don't play, because there's no. It's like drinking salt water. You're gonna be forever in it, right? You're just gonna be forever. There is one of the guys. He commented on the YouTube. It feels like you are in a prison. It just feels like you're stuck in a prison when you play League, right? 5-on-5 and ranked system. And I'm telling you, yeah, it is, yeah. And it's rigged specifically to keep you in that prison. If you Google like free-to-play games, you'll see that the objective of the company who set up free-to-play games is to get as many people addicted to the game as possible. I will repeat the statement again. It is to get as many people addicted to the game as possible. All right. So they will do whatever it takes to get you to be addicted to the game, right? And the only way out of it is to stay away from the built-in in-game mechanisms. And the most important mechanism is the matchmaking system, right? You need to stay away from it. Okay? So my kind of fundamentally what I'm trying to tell you is just play one-on-one, right? And that's it. In one-on-one, there are not that many situations, and in one-on-one, you can just play Nasus Aram, and that's it. And he can beat anybody, Nasus, right? Then you go into situations. What do you do against Nasus versus Nasus? Now that's a skilled game. That's a skilled game, right? But most of the time, people don't know how to play Nasus because he's boring, right? So most of the time, you're gonna win because they don't know what runes they're using, or they don't know that things like Nasus scales really well with cooldown reduction, right? Most important thing for Nasus is two things. You need mana. you need to make sure you don't go on, and you need a lot of cooldown reduction, right? Most people think you have to go tanky, but to be effective on Nasus is you have to make sure you have mana, and then you need to have a lot of CTR, because most of the power of Nasus is in his ult, and not because he gets tanky. That's because he gets his Q on a half cooldown, right? So you want to have you want to really realistically only fight when you have your ult, because your Q cooldown is like 0.3 seconds, right? And I mean, you can just Q forever once your ult is up, right? And that's the most important thing about Nasus. And of course, because you're queuing so much, your mana just goes. So you need to make sure you have mana, right? That's kind of the core of Nasus. And of course, there's like wave management and stuff like that. But I mean, that goes to that goes skill. Okay, so I got this out. I can go sleeping. See you tomorrow. Take care.